Another question is for Dr. Yudkin. So this is someone asked, although the exhausted majority is more likely to be willing to find the middle ground, do you think they tend to be quieter than the wing? And from the media's reports, one might think that the majority of the country is totally polarized. Or is this idea of like the exhausted majority more applicable to a pre-COVID era before the pandemic, where we were like where we're now further divided among people who supported Trump and those who did not? So yes.
Yeah. So to answer the second part of the question first, we recently did a follow-up study to that 2018 study that I talked about, and we find that the exhausted majority is alive and well. There's still about 2/3 of the country that fits in this profile of people who really don't feel as though their own views are represented in the most extreme voices and the most active voices in the political conversation. And in fact, a huge amount of the information that people get, especially on social media, is taken up by people who occupy those more extreme political views, because there's a very strong relationship between political, let's call it extremism, although it's not actually extremism, but just like being on the farther outside areas of the ideological spectrum, and activism. So the farther you are on the wings, the more likely you are to be voicing your opinion, to have strong opinions, to be, as we were mentioning before, shaming others for not having the beliefs that you do. So the point here is that the exhausted majority still definitely exists, is much less likely. We asked them, for example, how likely are you to share political content on social media? They're about half as likely to be willing to share and interested to share political content on social media. They're much less likely to be engaged engaged in political rallies and things like that. So you just hear from them less, although there's actually more of them than you might imagine, given how much noise and space they're taking up in the political conversation.
I think this like the point about social media also is very interesting this past summer, because I feel like there's been a lot of conversation about how that exhausted majority of those people that might not have like been politically involved on in these type of platforms have kind of arisen in a way. And I think there's some questions about like the role of social media as well. I don't know if you want to touch on that, but that's a side point. That's interesting. I don't know.
Social media by design, by algorithm, prioritizes voices that are on the outside rather than the inside, because you read articles about, like, for example, YouTube's algorithms. If you sign on to YouTube successively over the course of several months, you'll find that it'll show you videos, especially if you're watching political videos. And those videos you'll find actually gradually lead to more and more extreme positions on either the left or the right. And that is just by the very design of the algorithm is something that is leading to greater sense of distance between people, greater isolation in the types of information that people are getting, greater distance in the entire worldview and perception of reality that people actually have. So social media is one of the primary causes of this. It's not the only thing, but it is. If you look at the last 10 years to see how polarized the country has gotten, it's surely one of if not the most the biggest factors in this.